the visionary of the El-Buba Outreach Ministries International, Prophet Isah El-Buba.
Please let's keep clapping until he comes to the podium. Prophet Isah El-Buba, the founder of the Endorsing ministry. We'll probably be giving him one of our mics, possibly? No need? Okay, all right. Mr. Guest Speaker, sir, you're welcome.
Thank you. I want to welcome every one of us to the heart of Nigeria, which is Plateau State. I want to appreciate the sacrifice and the labor of the convener, chairman of the occasion, the president of the MiddleBelt movement, the national women leader, and Dr. Darby, the Nigerian Labour Congress leaders that are here, and I can see some of the top church leaders, some of them that are here from different states. I had to squeeze this time to honor this invitation to be with us, having a lot of other scheduled and programs before me. But because of the content of the letter that I received when I came in to town, I had to squeeze out these few minutes to be with us to talk about the new Nigeria and the vision of the new Nigeria. But I want to appreciate the convener and the little that I've been able to hear and to listen. Now, there is a story going all over the place. When they saw the flyers and calls were coming in from all across the country, because we have, by the grace of God, one of the widest spread movement in the country that is spread across the entire country, from state to state, local government to local government, and to most of the polling units. And there is this question people are asking and said, okay, have you finally declared who you're standing for and who you're supporting? I said, you'll get to hear from me. When the right time comes, I will do that. And it's going to be held at the Rampam Stadium. But I just want us to understand that 2023 is a precious year, a cardinal, very important year. And we chose not to be the people that will be talking, but people that will be acting. The only way we can save Nigeria is to understand what vision is all about. Most of you know very much how much my life has been threatened by a particular group of people who believe that I should not say what I've been saying. And for the past few years, I've confronted injustice. I've confronted certain systems that are not right with the standing of righteousness. God, who is the God of all, He created every one of us and planted us in this country, Nigeria. And Nigeria as a nation deserves the best, and every Nigerian deserves the best treatment and care. And as a preacher of righteousness and the preacher of the gospel of Christ, I cannot stand to see anybody oppressed because of his color of skin or his tribe, language, or where he's coming from. God is the maker of all. And He has made and given us the earth to enjoy it and to use it for His own glory. So anything that will fight against the pattern of God, I will stand against it and I will never support it. Recently, I've been able to make a national broadcast that millions of people have been able to follow around the world. And I've said this. In the year 2019, I gave a support to one of the presidential candidates because it was a northern affair. I've insisted from 2019 up to 2019 that 2023 presidency must go, and I said must, it must go to the South. I spoke with certain leaders, both governors, serving senators, and members of the parliament, and stakeholders, and religious leaders. I canvassed this country, went from the north to the south, from the south to the west, and the east, and the far northern part of Nigeria. Consulted with Islamic sheikhs, Christian clerics, and I presented to them what is needful at such a time like this. God in his own wisdom has blessed Nigeria and been able to put Nigeria together with gifted minds, and if we harness these gifted minds, then we'll be able to see the vision of Nigeria coming true. I gave the support because it was a northern thing, and between the person I supported and I spoke publicly and gave my endorsement, it was because it was a northern affair. But this time around, I said, it must go to the south. Whatever has been done, goes to the south. Had Muslim president that will be in office for 8 years. And this time around, it's not just about religion, but about equity and fairness. We must have a Christian president that will take over from Buhari. And so, I made a public statement a few weeks ago. And I said, certain group of people have been reaching out to me to discuss with me, but I've stated my position. And so, number one, if you talk about PDP, remember it's not about a political party this time around, it's about the person. So we're going to be having virtually what I call jollof rice in 2023 election. Because what you may have in the state will be different from what is going to be at the federal level. Now, I said this and I'm going to say this. For the presidential candidate of the PDP, they're still reaching out. But I've said this openly. Number one, that is out. For the APC candidate, which is Asiwaju Tinubu, that is also out. So, I will tell us which one is the next one. Now, the Bible says, getting from Proverbs 29 and verse 18, where there is no vision, the future is bleak. Vision is the purpose for living. Vision is the purpose for association. Whatever you do in life, you must be driven by vision. I have the privilege of raising up my children, and they've done remarkable, very well in school. I have not been able to attend to the height they have, but I've been able to prepare them to be able to go above what I have been able to do. And my children came out with first class in their first degree and in master's with distinction among the best graduated student in Wisconsin University. Now, I demanded that they home to Nigeria after their master's program and when they got some work doing abroad. The question is, why should I ask my children to return back to Nigeria in the midst of the chaos? Because I believe in the new Nigeria. And as I'm talking to you, they did their first degree here, went for their masters, and of course, they were harvested by top industries. But they are back to Nigeria, and they are serving for the deliverance of the new Nigeria. We need to understand that what true vision is all about. And we must understand what vision is all about, or else we'll be wasting our time. I want to say this while moving on with my little lecture, that the Middle Belt has been the enemy of herself. And this time around, I'm glad that the Middle Belters are rising up. And I'm glad the Middle Belt president is physically present here. And we need to clap and celebrate this man for his commitment to see the Middle Belt rising up to her place of responsibility. When you talk about true vision is human cause, worthy of self-sacrifice. People who are involved in redeeming the future today, they are driven by a vision. When you see somebody making the ultimate sacrifice, not about themselves, not about their pocket, not about their stomach, not about just their family, but they are making the ultimate sacrifice for the redemption of a people, you know that such people are driven by a vision. True vision is a view of the future, more noble than self-preservation. People have confronted me with this question around the world. With all that you've gone through, I've gone through 9 assassination attempts on my life, defending the cause of the Nigerian project. But I've not backed out and backed down, and I'm not slowed down, because I see the new Nigeria. And this new Nigeria is going to happen in 2023 by the grace of God. Because of the vision of the new Nigeria, I've been able to produce a film for the first time that I became an actor. Of the vision that I saw, and I'm going to ask that my children will release that film to the convener of the Save Nigeria so that you can have it freely to give it to everybody to watch. True vision is a view of the future, more noble than self-preservation. Visionary people are not thinking about their stomach, but the story and the structure of what is going to happen to the future generation. What the future generation can hang on. And we're having a bunch of leaders in our time and a generation that we've seen through times that are not ready to step aside to allow the younger generation take over leadership. But this time around, we're going to show to them that it is time for us to prepare our children and grandchildren to lead. I am a blessed father of 7 grandchildren. And so I think about the state of my present children, my grandchildren, and great-grandchildren. True vision is destiny in pictures. They are driven by the picture that they see, true visionaries. What you see determines your conviction. What you see determines your character. And that is why in such a time like this, you're not going to be driven by the morsel of bread that you're going to be given. You're not going to be driven by coins. You're not going to be driven by naira. What somebody will pay for you to be able to manipulate the election. But you're going to be driven by your conviction. And that's the reason why we're here this morning. It is because of the conviction that we have. Not for somebody to pay us for the redemption of Nigeria, but that all of us will pay the price for the redemption of a new Nigeria. I've spoken to some of the top leaders, and especially in the party that is going to flag and take up the candidate to put his house in order. Because when you are a visionary leader, you think about your character, the character of honesty, the character of integrity, the character that stands out to defend the truth. You shall know the truth, and the truth you know and you act upon it shall set you free. True vision is divine purpose in color. When purpose is not understood, abuse is inevitable. People abuse privileges because they lack purpose. But people die gruesome deaths for the purpose that is driving them. The scriptures say to us, why did Jesus die and had to pay the price for the redemption of and the entire humanity? The Bible says, for this purpose the Son of God was made manifest, that he might destroy anything that is evil. And that's why Jesus came. He came in order to destroy what is not right. And he died for it. All great leaders in the world, when you check their history, they were driven by purpose and they laid down their lives. And that's why some of them were in prison, some of them were shut down and gone down. Some of them were humiliated and some of them were mocked at. But at the end of the day, the vision spoke. Vision can never die. It doesn't matter what you do, even if you kill the visionary. True vision is a concept of the future, more preferable than the past and the present. Abraham, our great-grand ancestor, he saw with the vision. He saw the future. And then he looked at the city whose builder and maker is the Lord. And he paid the maximum price to be able to prepare the future. The past is painful to talk about. And we all know the state of what the past looks like in the present. Nigeria was not this way when I was born. The Nigeria I was born into, Naira was almost equal to a pound. Dollar was almost $2 to 1 Naira. The Nigeria I was born into, before the light will be taken off, there will be an announcement. The Nigeria I was born into was a Nigeria when a uniformed man stands on the road, taxis were parked by the roadside and said, can I help you? Because of the threat that they had for the men. The Nigeria I was born into was a Nigeria when every month, at the end of every month or every other month, a helicopter will be flying to spray insecticides against mosquitoes. The Nigeria I was born into, health workers will be coming to your house every weekend to check how neat your house looks like. The Nigeria I was born into was a Nigeria when you graduate from school, before you come out of your university, job is waiting for you with a flat, with a house. The Nigeria I was born into was a Nigeria that students in primary and secondary school were receiving scholarship from the government. You were given money. It was students that were even sustaining some of their family members. The Nigeria I was born into, you can leave the doors of your house open and come back and nothing will be tampered with. The Nigeria I was born into, rarely would you find an army officer in the streets of Nigeria. When you see one, that tells you something is going wrong. The Nigeria I was born into was a Nigeria Muslim and Christians were sitting down together in the same place and nobody knew and differentiate between the Christian and the Muslim. I was born a Muslim. I grew a Muslim. I was one of the most respected First World War, Second World War veteran. And so we served together. But then the Nigeria that suddenly drifted and took off out of the path of growth, it happened in our time because of visionless leaders. So this time around in the present, whatever happens in the past is as a result of the decisions that were made yesterday. The decisions we make today will determine what happens tomorrow. And so it's not to be moaning about the past. The past is in the grave. But the future is in our womb. What we conceive now will determine the kind of child we will give birth to tomorrow. And I can announce to you, we have in our womb a new Nigeria. And we are in the labor room, and very soon we're going to give birth to this precious and glorious child called the new Nigeria. I saw the dream of the new Nigeria. God showed me this new Nigeria. And when this happened, in less than 2 years, Nigeria will come top in the community of nations. I have the privilege to be honored by the American Congress when I addressed the American Congress a few years ago, and also have the privilege of having access to over 180 nations. I was called upon to move over and migrate, but I said, no, I'm staying back in Nigeria, because the hope of the entire globe is going to be Nigeria. What you see now is just a transition. It is Genesis chapter 1. The earth, in the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth, and everything was perfect. But there was a disruption, and the earth was formless and void, and darkness was upon the face of the deep. But then a time came. That story did not last. And God said, let there be light. And there was light. We are going to see light again in Nigeria. And that's the reason why for the past over 2 years, with all invitations around the world, I've not accepted one invitation apart from just reconciling the state of the Cameroonian government and the Ambassadorians. I refuse to fly out of the shore of Nigeria, be moving from street to street, road to road, flying from state to state, declaring the new Nigeria. So we all here, we will see the rebirth of a new Nigeria by the grace of God. So what is vision? What vision is not? Vision is not a human concoction of the future. Vision is not a conception of your private view of the future. Vision is not person, private, or selfish ambition. Vision is not complicated lists of programs, even though it produces programs. Vision is not a goal, but it produces goals. Vision is not a mere physical sight, but a perception of the unseen future. Vision is not ambition, even though it inspires self-service. So, true vision is not self-promotion, but it promotes others. True vision never destroys humanity, but it builds and preserves human value and dignity. To tell you that the government of President Buhari is a government that has no vision, a government that is bloodthirsty. They are the ones who brought in these bandits that you call bandits. They sponsored them. They organized them because they wanted to wipe out a segment of a people called the MiddleBelters. It was an intentional deliberate plan. But the God of heaven who fights for the cause of the innocent, he's turning the battles. When there is no vision, what you see is people destroying humanity. Destroying the people they don't like to see their faces because of the blessing that God has given to them. Why should in any way, like I said, when a place of worship was destroyed in Maiduguri, I flew over to Maiduguri to stand with the people. Why should the people be dealt with or be unjustly treated because of their faith? What belongs to a Muslim should be given to a Muslim. What belongs to a Christian should be given to a Christian. In my family, we have sheikhs and we have pastors. I become a Christian in my family, but today we all sit together, we eat in the same plate. There is no need to fight for any God. Before Christianity, I was created first a human being. Before my brothers talked about Islam, or my father, he was first of all made a human being. When you have the nature of God in you, you will not destroy any human being. You will rather be a builder of people and not a destroyer of people. True vision never destroys human value and human dignity. Why are we crying for the new Nigeria? We're crying for the new Nigeria because we will not allow people to come into power that will continue to destroy the Nigerian people. We need to restore the Nigerian value. And we need to bring about the human dignity. Nigerians should be able to walk on the streets of any nation with pride. True vision is generational. Why a man? Why should a man? Why should a man that is over 80 years be struggling with his own child to become president of Nigeria? I've raised my children being generational in thinking. I train them every month. We have board meeting. And I teach them on the capacity and the system and structure to be able to take over leadership from me. It is the pride of a father to sit by the side and watch his children do better. That is why Asiwaju is disqualified. The reason why Atiku is also disqualified, if you have worked together with Peter Obi and you have seen his competence and you have said it in PDP, if they will allow the ticket to go to the South, you will step down. Okay, right now, why don't you step down? Because this is a younger mind. Someone who has the capacity to be able to drive the process. True vision is generational. To understand the need for succession, a leader must have a vision of the future, a future that makes the leader not to have an active role, but rather to watch on the state of the people. His sons. I was expecting that Asiwaju was going to do something as if he was a visionary leader, looking at the competence of the vice president of Nigeria. If there's one man that I have seen that has all it takes, was Osibanjo. But the moment they saw that in him, they started clipping his wings. I thought that in leadership, when you are having a team of two people, leaders surround their minds than themselves. They surround themselves with bright minds than themselves. If President Buhari wanted to rebuild Nigeria and get Nigeria to what he said he was going to do, having Vice President Osibanjo, he would have empowered that young man to drive the process. But it just tells us the kind of leaders that we have. And this time around, we must change them. We must remove them. I would like you to reach out to two people and give them a high five and say, it's time to get them out of the street. We have to retire them. Every great vision, the leader makes an active preparation to see his sons and daughters climb up to leadership. God told a man called David, very powerful man that fought 68 wars and never lost one. And the man David told him, he said he wanted to build a temple. And God said, I'm not going to build a temple, but then you're going to do that. What we saw as a visionary leader was that David prepared all that was required for Solomon to build the temple. That's a leader, great leader, who prepares the ground for his own children. I stand again by the word of the scriptures. A good father leaveth inheritance for his children. It is not money in the bank account. It is vision, values, and virtues. You can leave all the billions in the world for your children, and if they have no vision and they have no value and they have no virtue, they will waste away all that you have labored all through your life. That's why we have a case of one man that lived and is dead. He was supposed to be the president of Nigeria in 1992. Very, very wealthy man. That man was able to raise a lot of institutions, but he raised a family without a vision. MKO Abiola died, leaving behind multi-billion naira institutions, but all were squandered because of visionless children. David was a perfect example and a model of a man that has been able to lay a foundation that generation can continue to build upon. So vision is the essence of leadership. And the purpose for mentoring, for succession, is because of vision. Therefore, a visionary leader, the person that we should look for the new Nigeria, is a leader, is one who sees beyond his face. He sees beyond and perceives the need to incorporate others into the process of his journey. And that's why I'm glad that the Save Nigeria, the Middle Belt Forum, is pulling everybody together. And also the movement that I'm championing, bringing everybody on board, because this is the time for alliances. This is the time to pull our strength and our resources together to make it happen. It's not about a person, it's not about a man, it's about a project. I wrote a letter to 6 governors when they were going to conduct the PDP elections or primaries. And I wrote a letter to 6 of them that were contested. I asked each one of them and I said, listen here. You know I have visited, I've talked to all of you. And I've told you that we in the North are standing for a Southern presidency. It's time for you to pull your strength and energies together. And I said these words to them. And I said, it's not about you as a person. It's about a project. And if it is a project, a man of vision will step down and not allow self to make him or her truncate a process of deliverance. So I said to them, please, because of the new Nigerian project, among the 6 of you, Obi, Udom, Sam El-Buba, the former Senate President, I am, Wike, 6 of them, Fayoshe. I wrote 6 of them. And I told them from scriptures. When the children of Israel asked God and said, who will go for us? God said, Judah. Judah said, I know that this matter, this mission cannot be accomplished just by myself. He turned out to the other tribes and said, come along with me. Let's conquer my territory. And after that, we come back to your territory. And together we'll be able to sweep the enemy. And that's the same way if you want to conquer in life. It's not about you. It's about the vision. It's about the goal. When you have a vision in a family, there will be less argument. Your discussions will be centered, will be vision centered. And I said to all of them, choose among 6 of you. And then when you get to the primaries, the remaining one should step down. But just the common thing that you find in the Middle Belt, that in a village you can find 40 professors. You gather the 40 professors, they will always come to blow grammar, fight among themselves. And the project will never be done and the village will remain the village. While you go to a community where they only have 1 professor and all the remaining ones are illiterate, they will all agree with 1 point and then be able to drive the process. And I wrote in that letter, if you don't do what I'm telling you, the ticket will go to a northerner. And exactly, it happened. So they reached out to me and said, what you said is true. I said, I told you. Organized lie will always defeat an unorganized truth. So if you want to get it right this time here, then we must be organized. And I said this to both the Congress, Labour Party in the national, to be able to make sure that they put their house in order. It's not about any individual ego. For the glory of the future, you will pay the price and lose your self-promotion. So I want to say finally in closing, what is it that separates between genuine leader, visionary spirits, that separates leaders and statesmen who have mentoring spirit from mere politicians and managers who focus only on today's need and today's want? This is what separates them quickly. Number 1, the politician focuses on programs. The leader focuses on vision. Number 2, the politician's priority is securing the next election. The leader's priority is securing the next generation. That's what we've been having all these politicians all this while. All they've been talking about is the next election, the next election. That's why you will see a man that hardly walks is still thinking about going to the Senate. Because they are not thinking about the next generation. There is no generational link A man who is generational will think about the 3 generations. The success of a father is not on his first generation, but on his 3rd generation. That means that your success is not determined on how successful your children are, but how successful your grandchildren become. And it is your ability to be able to prepare and package these children that makes your vision outstanding. Number 3, the politicians are occupied with promises. Promises. We will do this. We will do that. We will do this. All over the place. But the leader is preoccupied with pursuing purpose. And that's why you realize that when you have a leader, just give a leader an empty bucket. Come back in a few hours, you will find water in that empty bucket. Leaders don't complain about problems, but they celebrate the opportunity to have a problem. And that's what the difference between a politician and a leader. Politicians will complain to you and tell you why they are not working and why they are not succeeding. Ladies and gentlemen, can I announce to you that if the right leader is in place on the plateau is enough to be able to sustain Nigeria. You don't need federal allocation. I've said this over and over. I have raised and I've been able to mentor several thousands of pastors across the world and in this country. And they have asked me the secret behind what God is doing with me across the nation. Because I believe as a leader that it is your ability to be able to give birth to what is not in existence. Money is hidden in problems. Solve a problem and money will come out. Nigeria is a land full of treasure. Wherever you find problems, you find money there. And so you realize that leaders are preoccupied with pursuing purpose. And number 4, the politicians think of protecting their seat. Protecting their seat. That's why you find them fighting, killing one another, because they want to protect their seat. That's why they can go and hire thugs. I have said this in my national broadcast, and I'm saying it to here. We are also preparing ourselves. We will pray. One hand, the other hand will be prepared to handle any thug. So the 2 hands you are clapping, they are going to work together in 2023 matter. Prayer is going to work and the other hand is going to work. Why? Because politicians are occupied. They think about protecting their seats. Ladies and gentlemen, the leader thinks about preparing a replacement to take their seats. That's a leader. Whether it's a pastor, whether it's an imam, whether it's a father. My father, I'm privileged to have a gracious father that lived on earth and has transited to heaven. He lived at the age of over 118 years before my father passed on to glory. And then one of the greatest things my father has done was to be able to mentor me to be a man. He mentored me to be able to be a good husband. Mentored me to be a good father. Mentored me to be a good citizen of a nation. That was the greatest asset. My father never left billions in the bank account, but he left a good name for me. I tell my children today that the name El-Buba is a brand that is more than any amount of money in the world. If you want to mess up your life, use your name, cut El-Buba out. Then the day you're ready to live a good life, you can carry El-Buba. Leaders think about preparing a replacement. If you ask my children and grandchildren, they will tell you that you always said this, grandpa says this. I don't believe in tomorrow. I believe in today. Tomorrow is not in my power, it's in the hands of God. But God has given us today to decide what happens tomorrow. Whatever happens in your family or your children or your family tomorrow is determined by the decision that you make today. You must prepare generations to replace our seat. Finally, the politician seeks power over his generation. The leader seeks to empower the next generation. That's why you realize They're doing everything. Politicians are doing everything. Everything to get the power. Can you just imagine this one, please? That during the primaries, just one day primaries, someone among the candidates gave every delegate minimum of $15,000. Actually, it was set 25, but I tried to put a moderation, $20,000 to 1,800 delegates, over 1,800 delegates. You can just do your mathematics. In one day, a candidate seeking for power, not empowering the next generation, but seeking the power, spent over 28 billion naira in one day. You don't talk about the logistics. So put everything together, he spent over 35 billion naira in one day just to secure a ticket. And the entire amount of money that ASU is looking for to be able to put infrastructure and get certain things back is less than that amount of money. Why would such a person not donate half of that money and say, ASU, we are having concern about the future generation. Here is 15 billion. Number two, why in all the killing, the IDPs in Zamfara, in Borno, and other places, this candidate has never taken a chopper to fly into Maiduguri to go and see the IDPs and said, all right, IDPs, I want to relocate you. Government, give me open land. I'm going to build 5,000 housing units, 1 bedroom. I'm donating 5 billion. But now they are looking for your vote. They are doing everything to get the power. And we are saying, no. Perish with your money. We will defend the cause for a new Nigeria. I want to close with this word. Don't sell your birthright. Life is not about you. Life is about the unseen people that are still in your loins. You may be an Abraham. The right decision you make today will determine what will happen tomorrow. I want to say to the Southern movement, MiddleBelt movement, you have my support 1,001%. And together, when I'm going to make the declaration in the next few weeks, because Plateau will determine who becomes the president of Nigeria. God bless you. Thank you.